has helped Davis here in the early going as they get it inside, and Boston Kaner will dunk it.
Deseret News Rewind is presented by Heidemann & Associates, a full-service law firm dedicated to winning for you. Call them now for a free consultation. Welcome in Deseret News Rewind. Dusty Litster and Dane Stewart, as always, presented by Heidemann & Associates and brought to you by the Utah Army National Guard.
That's right, Dusty. If you're looking at taking that next step in your life but not quite certain how you're going to pay for it, there's no better place to check out than the Utah Army National Guard. Up to $20,000 in educational assistance available. To learn more, visit www.nationalguard.com.
Well, here at Layton High School, and if you haven't watched that Moment of the Week video, it's a good one. It's a real good one, and those students want to thank them for a really good atmosphere on that one. But we're going to be going through what happened in the boys' week this week. But let's start first with the opening statement, or opening question, I guess, coming from the Heidemann & Associates. Last week we previewed a Region 1 game of the week, and that was Layton Davis. And look what we get to do on Tuesday night. Layton versus Fremont here in Region 1.
Well, it's certainly the week of statements for the Layton Lancers. Now, not the opening statement. They've played a couple of region games already. But this one was circled. Both these two teams, Layton Davis coming in undefeated. You saw what Davis was able to do against Fremont. Utilize some of that length, get up and down the floor. And I was interested to see how Layton would deal with that. I think the first half, maybe a little tentative, maybe surprised a little bit. Some things that maybe don't seem real apparent on film look differently when you're on the floor. But boy, the second half response from the Layton Lancers. And this is why, to me, when I think of Layton, I think of this is a team that can win a state championship. And you see the response in that second half coming out. I thought the defense was better. And, Kofed really came out and attacked the rim, had opportunities to get to the line. This Layton team made a big statement tonight on Friday. As you mentioned, a chance to make an even bigger statement on Tuesday against Fremont.
Well, last time we saw Fremont in a game like this was that Davis game. And what did they learn from that one? Is going to be the biggest thing. And it's not like they haven't been part of big games. And so looking at Dallin Hall, how do you contain him?
Right.
Well, you have to hope he has an off night. And that's what he had against Davis. I don't think you're going to get that again. Yeah. But it's how does Fremont deal with the length of Layton? And that's one of the biggest questions and the things that's going to be the biggest part of their test of them getting to what I predicted is the state championship in the 6A classification.
And when you think about Fremont, so much of that is on their ability to move the basketball, right? Dylan Hall on penetration and kick out or moving the ball around the wing. And you look at this Layton team and their length, they can disrupt a lot of passing lanes. And so how can you create some of those opportunities? We saw Davis sometimes tonight really clear out the lane, try to utilize some screens to create some good looks at the rim. Wouldn't be surprised to see Fremont do something like that, but can you sustain that for 32 minutes and generate consistent offense? To me, that's going to be the thing that's most interesting. Layton is really good on the closeout on the three. I think they match up really well with Fremont's strengths. Doesn't mean Fremont can't win that game, but it'll be interesting to see how Coach Mulaney tries to attack the Layton Lancers.
Well, it's the adjustments. It's what are you doing? It's the other guys that step up with it well, and it's not just one guy at Fremont. You have to have other guys step up, and it's going to be a fun one. There'll be a great atmosphere as well. Let's go to Region 2, and you were there at Taylorsville and Cypress. Go watch that video. But hey, there's another team that's playing really well, and that's the West Jordan Jaguars.
Yeah, we started off, and if you watched our stuff, I was high on Cypress. And Taylorsville, hey, a couple big wins. Win over Kearns this week, a win over Cypress this week, and looking at 2-0. And boy, the best starting region for Taylorsville in a long time. And you got West Jordan over there like, hey, anyone? We're 2-0 too. And they're playing really well. They had a big game tonight against Kearns. Haven't seen that score come through yet. But for West Jordan, this is a team 2-0. They play a physical brand of basketball, and they are gutting out impressive wins in the early part of the year. This is a team you can't sleep on, and if you're Taylorsville, that West Jordan matchup is going to be a real intriguing matchup. It might be for the region title.
Well, how about we go to look at Region 3, and all Copper Hills needed to do to get things right is just get to region play, for heaven's sakes. Come into the region on a couple of game losing streaks. Well, they win 3 straight to open up region play. Yeah,
and boy, they've been impressive. You look at wins over Bingham and Riverton this week for Copper Hills. Dusty, this is a team that had a disappointing loss against Cypress just a week ago. And the way that they've responded is really, it's a great sign if you're a Copper Hills fan. Stone Hutchings, this young man is on a tear. Went 21-10 in the win over Bingham, 32-10 in the win over Riverton. By the way, Kylan Short's 9 points, 10 assists in that game. This Copper Hills team, we talk about Jordan, we talk about Harriman, we talk about Bingham. Don't overlook Copper Hills. They are a factor in Region 3.
Well, Jordan continues to be one of those teams, 5A runner-up last year. They had a big game against Bingham tonight. Going in tonight, though, they were 2-0 going in in region play.
Well, they had a dominative win over Harriman, and that was a game that I thought, boy, this is going to be between two of the region favorites, and that was all Jordan start to finish.
Region 4, and how about Skyridge? Got pushed to the limit of Corner Canyon, but they stand at the top of Region 4.
Yeah, and, you know, how about a nice win tonight for Skyridge as well? This is a team that I think is sneaky, and you got to keep an eye out. You know, for me, I feel like Region 4 isn't quite what it's been in recent years, but this Skyridge team is really, really good. And every time I kind of start to look at Region 1, they're there to remind you, hey, by the way, we're over here.
We are Region 4.
You know, Yates had a really impressive game earlier this week. We talk about Snowdy, and we talk about Housley and Reed. They got other guys that can contribute. And when you talk about Coach Gardner, his team, so much of it is doing your role. And Yates had a game with 10 rebounds earlier this week and a win for Skyridge. This is a team in Region 4 that can compete against any in the state.
We talked about PG and others. It'll be very, very interesting to see where things continue to go in Region 4. Another team.
Yeah, how about Westlake with a nice win over Lone Peak this week? And I know Lone Peak a little banged up, but that felt like a matchup where Westlake has been close, but hasn't been able to get over that hump. They did this week, 62-55, as Noah McCord had 15 and Nelson had 14 in the win.
You know, it'd be interesting to watch what happens in Region 4 and all of 6A because I don't know that we're feeling like there's any more clarity.
Yeah.
The state tournament's going to be really, really good.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be really, really good.
Fun.
Let's take a look at 5A and in Region 5. Okay, Bountiful had a loss this week, but it's against Wasatch Academy. But they're 2-0, and I got to see them the other night. Bountiful started coming around. Coach Maxwell feeling like he's learning things about his team.
For me, I felt like it was just a matter of time for Bountiful. They have a lot of pieces, right? They've got a guy who can create his own shot underneath in Whaley. You've got really good three-point shooters on the perimeter in Chisholm. It was just kind of getting that mojo to just mesh. Hasn't quite happened in the early going. I have every bit of confidence it will, and when it does, they're going to be a really scary team. Farmington with a really nice win this week over Box Elder. Colin Chandler had 35 points in that game. Meanwhile, how about this win for Woods Cross over Viewmont? It was not easy. Woods Cross won 58-52, but Gavin Chowan, 38 points, hit 6 threes for Viewmont in a losing effort. It was a 24-11 fourth quarter to help the Wildcats pull away. There's a lot of parity in the top of that Region 5. Going to be a lot of fun races to watch as that region comes to the finish line.
Region 6 is crazy. I mean,
yeah.
How about tonight? Murray, 76-74 winners over Olympus. And it puts a tie between Murray and Olympus at the top of Region 6.
Man, just when you feel like Olympus is starting to get things figured out, they lost earlier this week to East.
Yeah.
East finally gets over the Olympus hump, right? I mean,
well, both of them.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years where if you watch this, you know I've been like, hey, watch out for East, and Olympus has always kind of snickered at me. 67-54, and Andre Moulabé, 32 points, hit 4 threes, 10 rebounds in that game. Andre Moulabé is maybe the best overall basketball player in the state. He is really, really good. He's up there. He is up there.
That makes him false.
Yeah, I know you're kind of like, he's up there.
He's up there.
He is up there.
I mean,
you know, and then the crazy thing.
I don't want to go on the Moulabé as a good thing.
You're fine,
I'm not on that fence at all.
You know, it's just odd because you have so much different matchups and confusion amongst who is beating who in this region. You talk about Murray getting a nice win over Olympus. That's huge. They had a nice win over Highland this week. Chudy had 15 points in that one. Workman had 14, but then they had a loss as well. And so it's one of those where it's consistency, right? I mean, who can we get sorted out? You look at East, they lost a game to Hillcrest a week ago. I mean, there's a lot of inconsistency in this region.
Well, one thing you can say, the good and the bad, you're all in the state tournament. They've all made it there. It'll be interesting to watch where that one goes. How about Region 7? Timpanogos having a big week this week, 4-1 in region play.
Yeah, they've been really good. You know, this is another one where we're seeing some inconsistency. How about Alta this week? They have a win over Timpview. You're like, oh, watch out for the Hawks. And then they lose to Mountain View. And this Mountain View team, upset alert, folks.
Timpanogos and Alta.
Yes! Who would have thought that was coming? Ben Mella had 20 points. Ty White had 15. Brownell went for 18 and 9. But Mountain View beating Alta after they just got a big win over Timpview. Meanwhile, Timpview took care of business against Lehigh this week. 4 players scored. Only 4 players scored for Timpview. They scored 61 points. Region 7, man.
The Timpanogos is really, really good. Region 8, and it's Maple Mountain's world, except for when it's Springville's. 5-0 are the Red Devils in Region 8.
And guess what? We talked about preview. How about preview this? Maple Mountain, Springville, Friday night. Oh, that's going to be a good one. At Springville, you got the #1 team in 5A according to the RPI, if that all holds pending results. Going into Friday, Maple Mountain was #1. Springville's up there. We've seen them. They competed with Wasatch Academy. Who's the last in-state team to do that? This Springville team has all the opportunity in the world in 5A. That's going to be a great matchup. But Maple Mountain, they're winning some close ball games. Had a 56-53 win over Spanish Fork earlier this week. Braxton Tanner scored 20 in that. How about Wasatch? We talked about Will Harris a lot last year. This young man is scoring at a remarkable clip this year. Had 31 points in a 73-68 win over Payson. Will Harris is as good of a scorer as you'll find in the state.
Yeah, there's got to find some help there as well, because they're one loss in Region 2 Spanish Fork, which obviously is not a bad loss. They're losing to 3 to Maple Mountain. Got to figure some things out with guys around them. Looking around the state, how about Dixie? Dixie's 12-2, 6-0 in Region 9, and this is a team in the Dixie Flyers that continue to have impressive wins, including a win over Hurricane, which they took care of business against the Tigers.
Yeah, that's a great one down south. How about this one, Dusty? We kind of skipped over this one, and I apologize. I'm going to take you back to 6A, okay? Yeah, right? How about the West Panthers, a double overtime win against Riverton? Whoa! Riverton, this is a team that was beating some really good teams, and you feel like, hey, they've got some things working there, and then the West Panthers come in double overtime. Iosofi skips. I don't know if I'm saying that right. My apologies. 27 points. Crockett had 16. Ishmael with 10. The West Panthers get a huge region win. Good on you, West.
How about Juan Diego 4-0?
Yeah.
And he got Valdez 27 points in a win against Ogden earlier this week. But the Soaring Eagle, no surprise, really good at basketball.
Yeah. Hey, how about... I'm going to save that one. How about you talk about Mason Falslev, the year he's having for Skyview this year, had an 84-50 win over Bear River. In that ball game, Falslev went for 29 points, 10 rebounds. Sam Phipps went for 18 and 10. This Skyview team, #1 in 4A, for good reason. They are really, really talented.
We'll stay in Cache Valley, shall we? How about Ridgeline? They knocked off Bear River 61-59 to get a nice win. I don't talk about Cache Valley much, but when I do, we make it worth it. But how about this one? You had Knowles, Caden Cox, and Salvin, all scoring over 13 points in that win.
North Sevier with a 61-58 win over North Summit. It was Darian Johnson with the game winner. Also had Marshall Okerlund 14-8 in the win. Burke Mickelson 14-8 as a thriller for North Sevier.
Richfield staying undefeated in region play. They got a big game coming up. Well, it's coming up tonight against South Sevier. I'm sure they're packing the South Sevier Center, but they got to win over San Juan. How about San Juan? Just kind of goes up and down.
Yeah. And
only scored. Here's what's impressive from the Richfield. Not only they beat them, held them under 50 points.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen a whole lot to San Juan. And in the win, it was Emmett Hink, Hayden Harward, and Will Robinson with 15, 12, and 14 points on the night.
How about Roland Hall, Dusty? This is a team that is just rolling right now. 75-55 over Rockwell. You had Oscar Percy, 25 points, 12 rebounds. Sam Andrew, 14 points, 13 rebounds. They've got a really big matchup coming up this week. There's a tease for you, folks. Roland Hall going to travel to Layton Christian. They're both undefeated in region. Only one will remain after Wednesday night.
Who owns San Pete County besides Wasatch Academy? Manti. They continue to stay on top. They absolutely routed. I mean, just slapped around the North San Pete Hawks. And again, it was multiple guys. 17 points from Kevin Clark, 15 points from Jordan Bauer, and 13 points from Grady Thompson. How
about Intermountain Christian? One of the state's top scorers in Caleb Koski had 36 points in a 72-69 win over Wendover. Firkin, Owen, and Gutzweiler each had over 10 rebounds in the victory.
Drapier APA, just going to talk about the team.
Yeah.
And wins this week. 90-18, 87-23. We're just going to leave that one there for a minute.
How about Summit Academy with a nice win over Judge Memorial? This is a team we haven't talked about a lot, Summit Academy. Yeah. 61-59 over Judge. It's a talented Judge team, but Zach Engelbright had 29 points. Hicks and Wilson each had 10. The Bears of Summit Academy, Dusty, have quietly good.
Quietly good? The Green River Pirates. We'll just leave it on that one. Been a long time since Green River's been this good at basketball. And I remember watching Chandler Parsons, Slade Bigelow, just slaughter people 20 years ago. So I just want to hail to the Pirate for a moment.
I got one more for you.
Okay.
For those of us who are a little upset with our girls video last week, here's a little bit of retribution, all right? How about Emory with a 57-52 win over Carbon? Dusty, I'm sorry. You said we'd have to throw them some bat this week.
Hey, congratulations!
Brax Jensen, 21 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists in the win. Wilstead, 17 and 11 in the win for Emory.
Good on you, Spartans.
Hey, if nothing else, we are men of our word.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
You said we'd do it. I even smiled when you did it.
Yeah.
But let us know who we're missing. I'm sure there's plenty. We got a lot of teams we're trying to keep our eye on as well. Hit us up on Twitter at Deseret News Rewind, at Dane_Stewart, at Dusty Litster. For Vince Francis and Dane Stewart, I am Dusty Litster. Thanks for joining us and watching Deseret News Rewind on Deseret.com.